Hello everyone, we want to welcome you, pet parents and soon-to-be baby parents, to our program. By being proactive, taking the time to watch this program, and following our recommendations, you'll be helping your dog and your new baby to get off to a great start. In this program, we'll cover issues and questions parents have told us are important to them. What we'd like to do now is talk with you about some of the current routines that you have with your dog that you might want to reevaluate before the baby comes. These are things that are going to change that could create difficulties for you, your dog, or your baby if you don't think about them ahead of time. The first one is your dog allowed on the bed? You may have read that if you do this, your dog is going to become dominant and is going to have aggression problems. That's just a myth. So if you're feeling guilty because you allow your dog up on the bed or up on the furniture, don't worry about it, as long as he's willing to move or to get down when you ask him to. What about your dog's behavior on the furniture? Again, there's nothing wrong with having him on the furniture. But just like the bed, you may want to create an invitation-only rule. A second routine to think about is traveling in the car with your dog. Think about how you're going to keep your dog out of your baby's face when the baby's in his car seat. If your dog is allowed all over the place when he's riding in the car, you may want to put him in the cargo area instead, behind one of those wire barriers. Or you can train him to ride in a crate. The third routine to think about is your dog's feeding schedule. Is your dog's food dish down all the time? This is probably not going to be an issue with your newborn, but when your baby gets to be a little older and begins to get mobile and crawls, the food dish is going to become a magnet for him. One way to address this is to start now by putting your dog on a twice-a-day feeding schedule. Many veterinarians recommend this anyway for your dog's health. Most dogs adjust readily to this change. Another thing to consider is the kind of toys your dog has and likes to play with. Many dog toys resemble baby toys. How can your dog tell if one little fleecy thing is his and another little fleecy thing is your baby's? There are a number of ways that you can address the issue. One would be to try to switch your dog's preferences to toys that are clearly more like dog toys, like squeaky rubber toys that have a real different feel than the soft, fleecy toys that can resemble baby toys. The other possibility is to get your dog used to toys that hold food treats. These toys are very different from most baby toys, and will keep your dog interested for a long time. Our goal here is to get you to be proactive before the baby comes. So think about your dog's routines, behavioral needs, and other things, and take steps now to change things that may cause a problem. One of the things that you can be proactive about is acclimating your dog to all the baby's equipment that you're probably starting to acquire. Things like high chairs, cribs, blankets, and strollers that you may have already put in your nursery. Your dog is going to be incredibly interested in all this stuff. These things are probably going to look a little bit different than what your dog's used to, and they certainly have new smells attached to them. Go ahead and expose your dog to all these things and allow him to satisfy his curiosity. Let him sniff the new equipment, poke around it, and really get familiar with it. Once your dog's familiar with all these things, he'll be much less likely to chew them up to find out what they're all about, or to urine mark or leave his scent on them. The next proactive thing that you should do before the baby comes is to evaluate your dog for behavioral problems. You don't want to have to worry about your dog biting people coming to visit you and the baby. Schedule a consultation with a behavior consultant so you can learn how to help your dog change his attitude toward people he doesn't know. Many times these problems are quite resolvable, particularly if you address them before they've gotten severe.
Now the big day has come. You've had your baby and you're preparing to bring her home and introduce her to your dog. How do you go about doing this? Let's go over a few of the more important points. Your first task after the baby is born is to accustom your dog to your new baby's smells. Once the baby is born, baby and mom will probably be at the hospital for a day or so. This gives dad or another family member time to bring home some items from the hospital that have the baby's scent. You can bring home a blanket, a baby cap, or some towels. Put the items wherever you think of that will allow your dog to pair the scent of your baby with things that your dog enjoys. When mom and baby arrive home, someone other than mom should be holding the baby to bring her in the house. Your dog hasn't seen mom for several days, so he's going to be particularly excited to say hello to her again, which is going to be difficult to do if mom is holding the baby. So, mom should greet the dog in the usual fashion without the baby. After you've greeted your dog, have mom sit down at a table holding the baby in her lap. You can use the table to limit how much access your dog can have to you and the baby. Once mom and baby are settled, go ahead and bring your dog back inside. Because your baby is a new thing to him, he's going to want to do a lot of investigating to find out what the baby is all about. Because many parents are nervous about having the dog sniff the baby's face, a good alternative is to encourage your dog to sniff your baby's feet. Allow him to do this. Next, try to structure things so that you have some quiet time with your dog and your baby. Try to avoid a lot of commotion with people in and out and lots of loud talking and laughing. It will be more difficult for your dog to calm down and relax with those kinds of activities going on. Let's talk next about a few common concerns we find new parents have about their dogs and new baby. One of the most common is that their dog is going to be jealous of the new baby. So when your dog wants attention from you, when you're paying attention to your baby, instead of allowing your dog to pester you, tell him what you want him to do instead. Have him lie down at your feet, and then he can get petted. If he just won't do what you tell him to and continues to pester and annoy you, then give him a timeout. You may be concerned that your dog is going to be mad at you for having the baby, and because he's mad, he may start urine marking on the baby's things or other places in the house, or maybe become destructive, tearing up the baby's things and other household items. If you acclimate your dog to the baby's new furniture and other items, as we talked about a little bit ago, the urine marking and destructiveness are unlikely to happen because you've paired all these new things with something positive for your dog. Providing your dog with plenty of things to chew, mentally stimulating games and toys, and regular exercise will help prevent destructive problems from happening. When you can't supervise your baby and your dog, keep them separated with baby gates, or put your dog outside, or use some other method of managing the environment so that your dog and your baby do not have free access to one another when you are not right there. If you know your dog is sensitive about being touched or petted on certain parts of his body, it's best to begin to acclimate him to this kind of contact before your baby comes. Let's say your dog is sensitive about having his feet touched. To begin to work on this, with one hand you'll want to reach out and barely touch your dog's foot, and then with the other hand offer him a special tidbit. You must do this in tiny steps. Don't try to pick up your dog's foot and hold it for a long time right in the beginning. Another concern we've heard parents voice is whether their dog will show any predatory behavior toward the baby. This is usually a concern when a dog has shown predatory behavior toward small mammals like squirrels or cats. Predatory behavior toward babies by dogs is extremely rare, but because it is so serious, it certainly deserves immediate attention. If your dog at any time jumps up to grab your baby, or you see any other behaviors from your dog that really worry you, you need to seek professional help immediately. Finally, we'd like to leave you with our best wishes for your expanding family. Because you've made the effort to plan and be prepared, we're sure that things will go just fine for you, your dog, and your new baby.